The defendant, Robert Ley, committed suicide in prison on the 25th of October 1945. On the 15th November 1945, the tribunal decided that the defendant Gustav Krupp, von Bohlen and Hablach could not then be tried because of his physical and mental condition, but the charges against him in the indictment should be retained for the trial thereafter, if the physical and mental condition of the defendant should permit. On the 17th November 1945, the tribunal decided to try the defendant, Bormann, in his absence, under the provisions of Article 12 of the Charter. After argument and consideration of full medical reports and a statement from the defendant himself, the tribunal decided on the 1st December 1945 that no grounds existed for a postponement of the trial against the defendant Hess because of his mental condition. A similar decision was made in the case of the defendant Streicher. In accordance with Articles 16 and 23 of the Charter, counsel were either chosen by the defendants in custody themselves or at their request were appointed by the tribunal. In his absence, the tribunal appointed counsel for the defendant Bormann and also assigned counsel to represent the named groups or organizations. The trial, which was conducted in 4 languages, English, Russian, French, and German, began on the 20th of November 1945, and pleas of not guilty were made by all the defendants except Bormann. The hearing of evidence and the speeches of counsel concluded on the 31st August 1946. 403 open sessions of the tribunal have been held. 33 witnesses gave evidence orally for the prosecution against the individual defendants, and 61 witnesses, in addition to 19 of the defendants, gave evidence for the defense. A further 143 witnesses gave evidence for the defense by means of written answers to interrogatories. The tribunal appointed commissioners to hear evidence relating to the organizations, and 101 witnesses were heard for the defense before the commissioners, and 1,809 affidavits from other witnesses were submitted. 6 reports were submitted summarizing the contents of a great number of further affidavits. 38,000 affidavits signed by 155,000 people were submitted on behalf of the political leaders, 136,213 on behalf of the SS, 10,000 on behalf of the SA, 7,000 on behalf of the SD, 3,000 on behalf of the General Staff and OKW, and 2,000 on behalf of the Gestapo. The tribunal itself heard 22 witnesses from the organizations. The documents tendered in evidence for the prosecution of the individual defendants and organizations numbered several thousands. A complete stenographic record of everything said in court has been made, as well as an electrical recording of the proceedings. Copies of the documents put in evidence by the prosecution have been supplied by the defense of the German language. The applications made by the defendants for the production of witnesses and documents raised serious problems. In some instances, on account of the unsettled state of the country, it was also necessary to limit the number of witnesses to be called in order to have an expeditious hearing in accordance with Article 18C of the Charter. The tribunal, after examination, granted all those applications which, in their opinion, were relevant to the defense of any defendant or named group or organization and were not cumulative. Faculties were provided for obtaining those witnesses and documents granted through the office of the General Secretary established by the tribunal.